COVID did us in again. However, I have to say that a lot of us sold a lot of art during COVID because people were sitting at home and trying to refurbish their homes, thinking about how they want to live their lives. COVID did raise a lot of questions. Post-COVID, I think the momentum has been slow, but I think the last 2 years have been really buoyant. There are new collectors, there are younger buyers, there are institutions that are coming in to look at Indian contemporary art with a new lens. We've been showing in Venice. The Kiran Nadar Museum of Art has been very active in taking art overseas, whether it is UK or it is Europe. And I think all these kind of activities are adding to the general artistic community. And the moment that grows, the moment education grows, then the commerce will also, sort of parallelly grow. So I would say that audiences are younger, they are more vibrant, they're brighter, they're knowledgeable, they're full of curiosity. And I think they're challenging galleries. They're asking questions, which is great because everybody is then forced to stand on their, sort of put their money where their mouth is. So
everything went down in 2008, but people's love for art didn't go, so we have to understand that. And okay, COVID, we all sat at home for those 6 months, really scared. But the moment it opened up, it came back. What is nice now is younger people are no longer intimidated by gallery spaces, and they're, they don't, even if they don't want to buy anything, they're happy to come and spend hours looking at work. And actually, that's really fun for me because I love to see that, and I like to show them different things because here's somebody who's coming, just because they want to. It's so lovely.
During COVID, it was more or less business as usual. We were physically not open, but we were all actually working out of our respective homes. And I found that a lot of our clients suddenly had time to kind of browse, to look through, to make acquisitions, to rearrange their homes in a sense. And so it was different, I would say. But so we had to change a few things, of course.
Being a gallerist, you see a lot of ups and downs. There's always a boom and the bust, and the idea is to kind of survive it. So if I take you back to 2006 when we opened it, it was in the middle of a great boom. And within a couple of years, we had the worst crash that we've seen in a long time. And, we had to survive that. We had to cut down shows, be quiet, just keep doing what we were doing. But luckily for us, we were showing artists anyway who were much younger and who had not been impacted by the crash. Being a second-generation gallerist, I think I had an advantage there because you realize that you just have to keep on, be steady and keep on doing what you're doing, and that's exactly what we did. And, sure enough, things started coming back again and, things picked up again. And the second crisis we had was, of course, COVID. And curiously, it was actually Prajakta's exhibition, the same artist that we're going to show this time. We had just started Prajakta's exhibition and the gallery shut down. We had to shut down. And again, the lessons of the past came back to you. You just have to keep on doing what you're doing and not overextend, not reach out too far. Be steady, work with the artists you have, and you see the results after that.
There was a lot of pain for 2-3 months, but art was, the art market is very active just immediately after everything started opening up slowly, because people were just they realized that art gives them joy. They were in their homes, cooped up for that many months, and the art really spoke to them. They could engage with it. They realized that, a lot of people realized they needed larger spaces, so they bought larger homes and naturally more art. So I think COVID, I don't blame COVID for anything to do with business.
COVID, I think, of course, after the first 8-10 days, when somehow as an organization we realized this isn't a short-term change in our lives, but this is really a life-changing moment to think and take stock, I think shifted in our heads, our responsibility center. So, we don't work just by the two of us. We work like a collective. We have a team of 20 colleagues between all the three spaces who are equal stakeholders in the decision making that's happening on a day-to-day basis. So I remember very clearly 7th or 8th day into the COVID lockdown that we had a collective meeting, and we sort of asked each other, what do we do in this situation, and what's coming up, and what do we see as the need of the hour? And several things sort of panned out, and if you look a little bit deeply and find out, you'll see we launched something called the experimental labs, which on 6th April was sort of announced. So between 17th March to 6th April, we really thought through, we used that time to think about our responsibility. And I think the single sort of cornerstone of the labs is the generator program, where we started this cooperative art fund for artists who don't have galleries that represented, but have practices that are fantastic, but in the cusp of still sort of making that bridge. So we started that, and by now I think we've supported $2,000 grants, that not that small, for about 78, 80 artists. That was one idea, but also it made us think very significantly of the advantage we had, because for the last, say at the time then, 12 years, we were in a remote location and working with the world online, because our artists were showing in museums worldwide. We had built a collector base worldwide, but we were in Calcutta. And we, of course, at the time, we didn't even have a Bombay presence. So we actually knew how to use the computer and ourselves to be able to reach out to the world. So we almost felt like we had that advantage. What we did, however, is somehow shift gear and focused on what the moment needs. And we tried to give back more than sort of stay still and wait for the time to pass.
I mean, just to add to what you said, it was very clear very quickly that this is going to impact specifically younger artists, but also artists who do not have the support either of galleries and therefore lesser of the market. And it was somehow our responsibility to give back to the community in a way that we could sustainably impact this moment and the situation. And for us, it was always, I mean, of course, we knew life would eventually find a way forward. So we had to bridge this moment somehow. And so the Generator Cooperative Art Production Fund, that's what it's called. It's as one of the aspects. There are many other aspects we did. We did deep dives, we did all kinds of other things, radio, all kinds of things to also connect with our community and the wider audience. But the Generator Cooperative Art Production Fund, which is what she was speaking about, made it just absolutely the need of the hour. And the artists, we felt that the artist required that little impetus, kind of a bridge between one moment and the other.
Quite specifically about the initial parts of COVID, and then during the second wave, we actually stopped gallery work and we became volunteers. So multiple members of our gallery team were working with support groups to find medicines, ambulances, hospital beds. Why? Because we had Art World access. So we knew people who owned hospitals, we knew people in the pharma industry, we knew, because they are your regular clients, they are there in your good times, but they have access. So we thought of changed our role for periods of time, but I have to say that was possibly the most difficult. And we realized how, you are actually no good.
Like
and COVID was, I think, for us as an organization, really a deep dive into understanding ourselves.
So COVID was an extremely special time for me, because I realized that a lot of artists, and including me and my team, were going through a lot of psychological problems. And therein started this entire series called the Untitled series, wherein we started reaching out to artists who were either MA students or BA students. And we started telling them, listen, send us your work. We want to have online exhibitions. And we also did a lot of Zoom call interactions. And the interactions really helped each of us to be relevant, at that moment. So we were not only talking about their work, but we were also like kind of making this community which was, self-supporting. And, fortunately, the Untitled series had almost 30, 40 artists. Like we did a series of 10, and every series had 10, 15 artists, and all of them today are doing brilliantly well. So COVID was, of course, a setback to us, where I had to shut down the gallery and I had to shut down the studio for the longest time. But we had this wonderful fiat for the Untitled series. And we also have documented, some of these candid moments and the candid video calls we had. So probably we are going to make it into a documentary and share it in future.
Very sadly. I remember telling one of my, a friend, he was like, oh, are you doing online shows anymore? And I was like, honestly, we're not Amazon. We really like being a physical space. And I was so happy to get back to the gallery because engaging with audiences and engaging with artists is really special.